What's up, y'all? Welcome to Culture Blitz, the football podcast. On Culture Blitz, we'll be talking about everything in the world of football. I have my co-host here today, BOP's very own Jake and Jay. How you guys doing today?
What's up, bro? I'm chilling right
Not
now.
bad, not bad.
Is it like a little weird to kind of be shifting gears a little bit from basketball to football?
Yeah, it's been a minute since we had three people on the camera too. For sure.
So like, with everything that's been going on with COVID and the pandemic and stuff like that, it's been really affecting a lot of sports. So here with football and with the season coming up, what are you guys' thoughts on like how the NFL is handling um, football right now? Like, do you think it's a good idea with continuing the season? How do you think, and do you think that they're protecting the players?
I really don't think there's gonna be a season. I think maybe they get one or two games into it, and then it's really hard because everyone looks at what the NBA is doing, and they're like a role model right now. But they also have like their traveling party for the NBA is like as of right now it's 22 teams, and each team can bring 35 people, including coaches. With the NBA or with the NFL, you have 53-man roster. So and people are already opting out, so they're going to open up more roster spots. So it gets tricky because you can't really keep them in a bubble. But as we're already seeing with the MLB, a lack of planning and just kind of hoping that players will be responsible and not go out in public and not do stuff to contract the virus. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think there's going to be much of an NFL season, if at all.
Usually I try to leave the pessimism takes to Jake, but I gotta lean on him with this one. He got a point because honestly, I think the MLB part of it is a very good point because I mean, we're here in Baltimore. We've already seen a couple games get canceled, postponed. Recently, there was information about the game against the Washington Nationals that I think actually just got moved a week or two ago. They had the game with the Marlins over in Florida completely canceled. The lack of preparation is a good way to lean because it doesn't really seem like the NFL has much of a plan. We haven't heard much from them. The most that we've heard are players being ticked off about the fact that we haven't heard much from them. And then on top of that, the other like really big thing that I feel like keeps getting left out, and Jake kind of hit the nail on the head with this one, is like there's 53 guys on that roster. Like, the NBA makes it look so easy because, like, oh, you carry 12 guys on a roster, like maybe 8 to 10 play, 2 guys kind of just sit as, like, pseudo subs. No, we know how tactical football is. 4-3s have, 4-3 defenses have multiple linemen at the same position. They're carrying multiple versions of each guy, whether it be wide receiver, linebacker. Each core has more than what I would say maybe 2 subs per. I mean, just trying to compare it to the NBA with the whole role model thing makes it kind of difficult. So as badly as I want to see football, if they don't figure it out, I mean, they kind of building their own grave on this season for
I'm
sure.
glad I'm not the one making those decisions between billions in revenue or getting all of my players COVID.
For real.
Right. It's definitely scary. Just seeing like how all this is happening and like you guys mentioned how it's affecting like baseball and stuff like that. And even the players in the NFL are even concerned about it. Like you guys said, like we haven't really heard much. But like some, from what I've been seeing and stuff like that, with the season approaching, there's already a couple teams that are opting out of like not having fans at the stadiums. You guys kind of already answered it pretty much. So it's like, do you think that the NFL will have a full regular season?
I mean, regardless of my pessimism, like I feel like they're gonna wing it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's easy to sit here and talk all this crap, but we also like watch the NBA be postponed for like way longer than I thought we were gonna like see it. There came a point, and I think me and Jacob touched on this beforehand because I felt like we just did so many coronavirus topics. Like there was a point where it was just like, maybe they're just gonna cancel it. You know what I mean? Like it's been a couple of months. Like they've been doing this for a while. We started watching trick shot competitions on ESPN. Like it started to get ugly. So it was one of those things where we thought it wasn't gonna happen, and now it's the biggest thing on TV from a sports perspective. If you think people are not gonna try to make a way to make football happen, you don't know how much America likes football then. Because, like, if they were willing to make it work with basketball, they damn sure are going to make sure that America's pastime works its way through into, like, a regular Sunday to Sunday schedule.
And it's tough because, Jay, like you said, it's like it's so easy for us to sit here and criticize the NFL for their lack of planning. But at the end of the day, we can tell them that what they're doing is wrong. But I am very skeptical that any of us fans have a plan that is actually right. Like there's no manual, there's no coronavirus manual that says in a global pandemic, this is how you have major league sports and like professional sports. Like there's just been nothing like this where you know how to plan for it. And so I think at the end of the day, it is going just week by week, month by month, trying to plan out, see, okay, if coronavirus is still going strong by the time the beginning of September rolls around, which I think it will be. I don't know how they can sustain a low number of COVID cases. And it's also, if you look at just an NFL practice, when you have 53 guys and that are meant to be making physical contact with each other. At the NBA, you only have maybe 15 people max, or 15 players max at a given practice. So it's like, it's so much easier for COVID to spread. And if one guy gets it on a team, how do you contact trace that and say, okay, well, he tackled this guy had to guard this other guy? Like, you just look at it and there's no way that you can do that, in my opinion.
I mean, Tony, to flip it, like, I'd like to get you kind of involved on it because, like you said, we kind of answered it. But, I mean, we're still – as pessimistic as we came off, we're also pretty optimistic that they're just going to make it work. For you, with everything that you already know in terms of how they've tried to do things or maybe not try to do them, do you think it's worth trying to go for it and make the season happen?
Right. And that's really like a question like they have to ask themselves, because there's a lot of players that have opted out of like not playing this season, and it kind of raises concern, in my opinion, because it's definitely going to be different if the season happens, if there is a full season. Yeah. That's how I see it. But you really can't, tell. It's just like a day by day type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely kind of difficult because, I mean, like the first thing, like even when you asked the question, I had to like sit back and think about it. Like, I was like, yeah, we kind of answered it, but it's like, do you think the NFL would really give up that kind of bag? It's like, I don't know. Like, it's it sounds really like kind of herky jerky to be like, they're going to throw all these men out to like potentially get COVID because that is your job. But like, the only place that I know does hazard pay is the grocery store. So I don't really know how that hooks the football players up. I'm not really sure. But, I mean, I still want to see him play if we can. Shoot.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of, like what WWE is doing. Like, they didn't cancel anything. Yeah, but, like, there's no fans right now. So that kind of, like you said, are they really going, drop the bag? Like,
for real. That's a funny question, but it's like, bro, like, when you say the WWE, I was kind of glad you even brought it up because it's like, that they were not playing with that bag at all. The week after they said that that like sports were canceled or whatever, WWE hit like ESPN's phone and was like, yo, we just got it cleared that the WWE is considered essential in Florida. I'm like, bro, since when can you basically finesse the law so that you can still like do your job? Like if it worked like that for everywhere, I guess it does if you talk about professional sports. But it was like when you bring that up, it's like, yo, they really could do whatever they want if they trying to go get a bag. Like, it's really that. Yeah. It's do you want the bag?
Vince got the connects, man.
Facts.
What players are you guys excited to see play for a new team, whether they were traded or just a free agent?
I mean, I don't know about a specific player in general, but the amount of movement between running backs and quarterbacks too, but especially running backs, has been crazy. Like, you had like Like you had like Devontae Freeman, Todd Gurley, Melvin Gordon all switching teams. You see guys getting like backup running backs, like trading. Like David Johnson got traded for DeAndre Hopkins, which still makes no sense to me. But I'm really excited to see how that plays out. Because you got guys like Gurley and Melvin Gordon that held out. And I checked earlier, and out of all the running backs that switched teams, the longest deal was a 2-year deal. Like 3 guys had a 2-year deal. The rest of the guys had 1-year deals as like kind of like a prove it year. And so I think that it's going to really show player empowerment and see how that'll come out of this, because you have guys that are holding out for bigger contracts that don't get bigger contracts, but then teams don't want to give them a ton of money because they're like, okay, well, you haven't played in 2 years. So it's really it'll be interesting to see if this holding out thing works, where they're able to switch teams, prove themselves, and get a bigger deal, or if they just drop the ball on it.
I mean, that's a great way to like alley-oop that over, bro. Because talk about dropping the bag. Listen. When it comes to the running back position, we know that it's pretty volatile. Like the thought process now is, I can get another version of you in the second round next year. That's been the talk the last couple of years. Is the running back position dead? Is it a position that's being phased out? Is it a position that can easily be replaced? Dude, when I saw that DeAndre Hopkins got traded, first of all, I was like, Deshaun Watson, whatever contract you just signed, hand it back. That was the first thing I thought. Whatever you just signed, I hope you use erasable ink. Like, you need to go back in and just get rid of that, like, right now. That was the first thing. Because the man's been getting set up for years. I mean, he's getting killed out there. And that was the only person that essentially was catching the ball for that team for most of the year. I mean, his drop rate is ridiculous in terms of how much he does not lose the ball. Basically, if he ever makes contact with the ball, with even his pinky, it's coming down, is basically what the stats say. But looking at it from a positive perspective, right? Kyler Murray was a guy who did not get a lot of dap last year for the Cardinals. And now he has like, what? I think we all can kind of agree, like a top 5 wideout legitimately, which, you know, no disrespect to Larry Fitzgerald, but he's up there. We have probably one more good year of Larry Fitzgerald, and you just got the younger version of Larry Fitzgerald in a trade, and you really didn't miss out on much. David Johnson was injured most of last year, definitely most of the year before that.
And don't they still have Kenyon Drake?
Well, yeah, and I think that was a perfect pickup from Miami too. I mean, they weren't giving him any run, which was crazy because he's the one who like saved their season like the year before, I think it was. So I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those things where like I think that Kyler is gonna really be able to show out now, like, you know, knock on wood, because we said the same thing about Baker getting Odell. So like, who knows? But like, I mean, the hope is that like, you know, DeAndre Hopkins is an entirely different, you know, individual when it comes to like professionalism, different things like that. Kyler is definitely not Baker, you know, from like a mentality standpoint. And I mean, they were a dynamic offense last year for what it was worth. I mean, they are just in probably the toughest, if not the second toughest conference in the league. So, I mean, it was going to be a rough night at the office 8 weeks out of the year regardless. So, I think DeAndre Hopkins is probably like low-key the sneakiest signing ever. Anybody can say the Buccaneers are on crack right now. They got too much money. But outside of that, yeah, I think DeAndre Hopkins was sneaky. Who you think, Tony?
Yeah, see, that's great. See, yeah, this is why like you guys are perfect for this podcast, because you guys just took what I was about to say and just kind of like, you know, transitioned it to me. So I caught that. All right. So yeah, I literally DeAndre Hopkins, like I think that was just a crazy steal, like you guys said, just him, you know, getting traded. But I mean, with him on Deshaun Watson, he was just kind of like thrown off by it, like from what I've seen, like when it happened. So I know, you know, he definitely feels some type of way about that.
And another thing is that if you look at the Texans always had DeAndre Hopkins as their number 1 guy, and then their number 2 guy was not good at all. So defenses were able to kind of strategize and put more guys on DeAndre Hopkins. But now that he's on the Cardinals, you can't just forget about Larry Fitzgerald no matter how old he is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's still going to be producing. And so now that DeAndre Hopkins is on a team with a better second, like, wide receiver, I think his stats are somehow going to increase.
Yeah, and they definitely got the quarterback for it as well. So that's going to be exciting to see for sure.
I mean, are we all pissed off about the Buccaneers, or is it just me?
I definitely am, bro. I don't even want to talk about it.
I was like, are we just gonna let it slide? Or I don't even know, because honestly, it's just a cheat code at this point. I mean, everybody was downplaying the LaShawn McCoy signing like last week, and I looked at it and I was like, well, I mean, it is in 2006, so I mean, he's not like that great, but it's like at the same time, it's like you just see the names for their team, and you're just like what type of ultimate team ish is this? Like,
bro,
brought Rob Gronkowski out of retirement after he swore that like football ruined his life like towards the last like 2 seasons. Tom Brady is in pure FU mode when it comes to the Patriots, which I think they're gonna take like the biggest hit all season, because when you talk about the opt-out thing, they've been the main team that's like, nah, you got me messed up. Where like I think 10 people have already opted out for their team or something like that. I know it's in the double digits at this point, which is not great. I think one of their main linemen, I think it was Nate Solder, was the one that like mainly stood out when they said guys were like opting out. So it's like you took a hit, you did hit probably what is considered like one of the better franchises, if not the best franchise in the league. And you build a franchise up that we haven't seen be good since – what, we all were like barely walking around. I mean, if we're gonna be honest,
yeah,
it's just crazy to see them flip like that, but it's just not fair.
It's crazy. I kind of want to see what's gonna happen though, but I just keep forgetting that they have Gronkowski on there. Every time I think about that team, I'm like,
that's the wild card. I think if he really plays games, I don't know what they're gonna do, bro. I feel sorry for the Saints. I feel sorry for my Falcons. It's just gonna be dark. So,
but the good thing to take from it is that like it'll definitely like shake up their division a bit.
For sure, that's a fact. It's gonna be. I mean, it's already low key a dogfight in there as it is, and you know, like now this is just like, oh, you got the 2 oldest dudes at quarterback in the backfield now, both with something to prove, and Drew Brees being back there, which who knows what he's going to do in terms of opt-in, opt-out. I mean, this is low-key his last year, if I got to call it. But, like, you know, between them two, you could call that the biggest football version of a rap beef we're going to have all year. Is like which old quarterback is going to be, like, causing other teams the most problems. Like that'll probably be like one of the funniest but like most entertaining storylines all year if we get the season, which, you know.
So basically what team that missed playoffs last season do you guys think will make it this season, based on like, you know, any changes, or if they just had a bad season and, you know, they'll come back this year and possibly make the playoffs, not even win their division necessarily?
Okay, so not necessarily win their division, but kind of just make a comeback.
Yeah, or just make it to the playoffs.
Okay, so in terms of making the playoffs, right? Look, Tony, Jake, I don't like my answer. Before I tell you, I would just tell you I don't like my answer, but I think
I know who it's gonna be.
I have to be truthful, and there's no fandom, there's no alliance. I'm born in Georgia. I love the Falcons, but look, I think the Cowboys got this one, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I think this is a weird year. I think Zeke last year was dicey all season. The weird start to the year, the whole thing with the contract dispute, the man still got paid. Dak is probably the maddest SOB out here right now in terms of like playing quarterback for the NFL, because like they just signed another quarterback right while they were talking about his deal, and they still have not really signed him for anything.
And then sign Mahomes to the 10-year deal.
And I think that's even worse, because I think what probably makes that even – and granted, look, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott. Like,
Right,
you know,
right,
we're
right,
not,
right.
you know, we're not, Jake, but facts though. You know, we're not gonna do that. But it's like my dude Patrick Mahomes signed a baseball deal, and my dude can't even get in the room, like to get a.
That's what
My
I'm
dude
saying.
Dak can't even get a sit down. Like, what's up with bro? Like Jerry
Yeah.
Jones not trying to
Why
hear
would you
nothing.
pay him? Why would you pay him? He hasn't proved anything.
Whoa. Okay. I'm gonna stop you right there. See, this is I gotta nip you in the butt, Jake. See, hold on. I'm gonna ask you 2 questions, and based off your answer, that'll tell you everything you need to know. In 4 seasons, did Dak stay more healthy than Tony Romo?
Yes, but Tony Romo.
Whoa. Wait. Let me ask the second question. In 4 seasons, did Dak do more either to get the team to the playoffs or actually win in the playoffs than Tony Romo?
Yes, but that doesn't justify you paying him. Yeah,
It justifies you paying him if you were going to pay Tony Romo what he was on his crippled legs the last couple of seasons before he put it to the booth.
And I think they messed up there, and I think that's why they're not paying Dak. He hasn't – what has he shown them? He's shown them that he can stay on the field. But if you look at it, the Dallas Cowboys with Ezekiel Elliott and Amari Cooper finished second in the division behind Carson Wentz and a bunch of practice squad wide receivers.
Okay.
You can't tell me that Dak Prescott deserves a deal at all astronomically close to Patrick Mahomes or any other good QB.
I'm not saying any of that, but you were talking about 1 season? My dude was 12-4 like 2 years ago.
And where'd they go in the playoffs?
I mean,
look, Jake,
I
wouldn't
didn't
say
know all that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say like pay him anything close to like Pat Mahomes, but like he's been kind of fighting for a deal for a little while now. So I bet he's kind of frustrated for him. So I think like based off of his like what he's done for the team versus what Romo done, I think that's what Jay's saying. He definitely deserves like some type of pay.
Plus, I think you're comparing him to the wrong people. Like, plus, I think you're comparing him to the wrong people. Like a Mahomes deal is like, bro, I'm not gonna fight you on that. Like, you can have anybody you want in that deal. I just saw a dude practice how to do a behind the back pass on Instagram the other day. Like, I don't want any problems with dude, but like, I think the real issue is, and this is probably a better reason of what I'm really trying to say is, we saw Carson Wentz get paid. This is a fact. We saw him get paid. What has dude done besides be injured? I mean, he was in an MVP conversation that year, but he has not touched the field either year they went to the playoffs.
He played all 17 games this past season, and then he got cheap-shotted in the playoffs, causing him to get a concussion.
Right, and then Nick Foles pulled a Kawhi Leonard and took his team to the finals and hoisted it up, dude. And then on top of that, we're talking about what about Jared Goff? Jared Goff got paid for the Rams. Have you seen anything out of him? Because personally, I have not seen jack squat from.
I haven't seen any more out of Goff than I have seen out of Prescott. And you're telling me that Goff doesn't deserve that money. Why do you think Dak deserves that money?
What I'm saying is fair. You call it whatever it is. But what I'm saying is if he's already gotten paid, we can talk about what's fair later. My dude already signed his check. If he gets to get signed, my boy over here definitely better get a contract. I'm not even saying a full 4 year, but I'm just saying, like, we're talking about some guys who, like, Carson Wentz never played in the playoffs, always been injured before the playoffs. So we've never seen him on the biggest stage. Jared Goff, we saw him get as far as the Super Bowl and what? I guess we can say below it. I'm not sure if we can really say that, but, like, they were a top 5 offense in the league and could not score a lick in that game. I'm not saying Dak Prescott is some, transcended, quarterback or anything like that. This is not Skip Bayless talking. That's not me. I'm just here to see guys get what they earn. If you're telling me those two guys can get paid, be either less healthy or less productive, then I don't see how Dak doesn't at least get a seat at the table. I'm not asking him to get some like 5-year, $200-300 million deal, which is kind of what he was asking for, like 4 or 5. But like, whatever. You can play the lottery if you want to, but at this point he just needs long-term security. and he's not even getting that. I don't know, bro. Maybe I'm not trying. I don't like the Cowboys. I promise.
Yeah,
I
it's a
promise.
little weird. I don't know. I feel like maybe after like this upcoming season, eventually like he'll probably get something. Because you gotta think about it. They drafted CD Lamb in the first round, so they're trying to,
Great pick.
Yeah, great pickup. So they're definitely trying to improve. What'd you say?
I mean, I said it's questionable because
man, Jake Jake. Who's your favorite team, Jake? I'm exposing you.
That doesn't matter.
Who's your favorite team, Jake?
I hate the Cowboys.
I knew it. He got slick dirty.
That was good. So because of the players had more of like a virtual type of off season and not really much like physical like training camp and all that stuff. Like they kind of did like a little bit of stuff here and there, but like because it wasn't really what usually happens during the off season and stuff like that. Do you think that it'll affect the players and the coaches like when it's game time? Like, do you think it'll affect their play on the field?
I think it helps the Chiefs out a ton just because of their continuity. And you see a lot of these top teams making big splashes and getting new guys and trying to bring together all these pieces. The Chiefs didn't really do much of that. And they already won the Super Bowl last year. And they didn't get a new head coach or anything like that. So they don't have to learn a new scheme. So when I look at the Chiefs, like, it helps them. Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal for any team, but if I had to be going through this, I'd want to be going through it with the same guys that I'm used to. And I think it's going to be really challenging, especially for teams that got new head coaches. Hint, hint, Dallas Cowboys. I don't think they're making the playoffs this year. I think it really hurts them because they have to learn a whole new scheme and they can barely see each other in person. And they got this global pandemic to be worried about while they're trying to adjust to all this new stuff. I think it's going to make it really tough for teams that had a ton of cap space to spend this past off season.
Yeah, I think the easy answer is if you didn't have a core coming into this offseason, you are going to have a rough time. If you don't have a go-to guy, I think you're going to have a rough time. If you don't have a primary player at the main positions we need, being either quarterback, nose tackle, wide receiver, or a really good corner, it's going to be a rough night. So teams like the Eagles who signed Darius Slay, I think that's going to be huge. I think teams like Carolina that got Teddy Bridgewater, that was like low-key like the sneakiest signing at quarterback all in the offseason, because I feel like, his just availability is going to be huge. And, his accuracy is something, that'll give a different look to Carolina versus like the deep ball of Cam that they tend to rely on. I think at the end of the day, this definitely puts the Chiefs in front if anybody didn't already have them in front, but I definitely think it helps them because they already have everybody they want. I think this does make it interesting for, like, we talked about the Bucs. We don't want to talk about the Bucs, but we got to be real.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a team that, like, if they can get it clicking, they can be scary. Yeah, I mean, I think the simple way is to say, like, yes, I think it's going to put a strain on a lot of teams, but I feel like the teams that kind of have something already going or have that one guy, because not every team in the league has that one guy you fear at one of those key positions. The teams that do are going to be the ones that I feel like we'll see in the end. The teams that don't, I feel like not only are going to struggle, but it's going to be scary significant. So if we see any 2-11s across the entire league and stuff like that, I don't think I would be shocked if we were coming down the stretch of the last 3 or 4 games and we had a lot of teams with single-digit wins still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with Jake with what he said about the Chiefs, because they're definitely on, like, in my opinion, on pace to make a back-to-back run to the Super Bowl. I'm still upset about the whole Seahawks situation because I felt like they could have did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, facts. They was
play.
definitely rolling, and like you said, it really was just one play. They were scary all season last year, and they weren't even supposed to be.
Right. So, yep. Thank you guys so much for joining me. So I have a question of the day. So are you guys excited for the NFL to come back, or do you think it should be postponed due to COVID? So let us know in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm Tony. This is the Culture Blitz Football Podcast. Jake, Jay.
Catch you on the next one. Peace.